Hello again, and welcome to episode number 11 in A Year Gardening. And this brings us into April of 2020, which, as you all know, is a very, very difficult time for us. We have this virus sweeping the world at the moment, and it's having a great impact on our rural and agricultural communities. With all of the garden centres closed, we are faced with the potential of millions and millions of bedding plants being destroyed or dying because the nurseries can't get them to the retailers, and the retailers are closed. It's a very, very difficult time for our nurserymen and also for our farming communities. At this time of the year, we're going to be getting ready for the asparagus harvest, and going forward, all of the other harvests, and thousands upon thousands of migrant workers normally come and work on our farms. Unfortunately, we've got closed borders at the moment because of the virus, and this could mean that a lot of our produce won't get harvested. There is an organisation called Concordia who are recruiting workers to work on our farms, and we will need tens and tens of thousands of people to do this work. And I will be posting their full link later on in this broadcast. But it's under hashtag Feed the Nation. And talking of feeding the nation, I'm going to be feeding ourselves as well, because who knows in a few months' time how things are going to pan out. So I'm planning crops to be growing over the next 2 to 4 weeks, so that we will be self-sufficient to a degree. It may be that we are fine, the supermarkets are well stocked, but we're just not allowed to go out. So therefore having some home-based produce will be of a great benefit to us. And I'm going to start sowing some salad leaves and bits and pieces today. I've also got some tidying up in general to do in my garden, and I think I'll start by sowing my lettuce. Well, as you can see, I've already prepared this tray with 3 rows ready to receive my lettuce seeds. And I'm not going to overdo this, I'm just going to do enough for now. It is a very, very prolific crop. It does germinate nice and easily, and so therefore if we can get this in nice and thinly, we'll be able to pick ourselves some fresh leaves in about 14 days time. And you don't have to wait for the lettuce to fully grow. If you just want a couple of leaves, you can take them off. It's going in a little bit thicker than I really want it to. But we'll just try. That's such a small seed. And that's going to be absolutely plenty. So I'm just going to pop these back into the packet, and then in another 10 days or so, I'll be able to plant some more of these seeds and keep the crop growing. And pop those back into that packet there. And all I'm going to do with these is just gently cover them over. And as always, I have already moistened this compost, so gives them a nice bed to go into. That's lovely there. Now all I need to do is just spray a little bit of water over there, just to bed the seeds in nicely. And I've already marked my label with lettuce. That's ready to go onto the shelf. while I'm sitting here with my mug of tea, I've been thinking about that time about 80 years ago when we were all asked to grow our own food in our gardens and our allotments. And there are certain similarities with what we're faced with now. Who knows what the food supply chain is going to be like in 2 or 3 months' time. I know that a lot of stores were ready for food shortages and had built up reserve lines because of Brexit, but we weren't expecting this coronavirus to come along. And I say, if we can grow our own stuff, it might be that the supermarkets have got loads and that we just can't get there. So it's always handy to have a little bit that you've grown yourself. Here's a bit of video for you.
Do you like standing in a queue for your vegetables, or do you think it's tiring and a waste of valuable time? Do you ever find your long wait has been useless, that supplies of what you want have run out before your turn comes? It's not the greengrocer's fault, it's up to you. Dig for victory.
Well, that's something to think about. So, can we use any spare areas of our gardens to grow our own? I'm going to be looking at my flower beds later on, and I'm going to be dressing those up for the summer. I'm going to think about whether I can actually grow some food crops in with my flowers. We can all do that. We can all just grab a pot, put in some soil and grow something in there. So why not? Well, a thought just crossed my mind. If you don't have a garden, you probably haven't got any flower pots. So here's one I made earlier, a little spread pot, 4 little holes in the bottom, and I'm going to just top that up with some compost now, and I think I'm going to plant a couple of onions in there. Well, there's my little spread pot, compost inside it. Just going to give it a nice bit of dampness to make sure everything settles down nicely inside there. And now I'm just going to make a couple of little holes in the top of that, and I've just taken a couple of my onion sets out just to pop inside there. We'll see how these do. We're just going to pop those down inside there and bring that back over the top. I've never done this before, don't know whether it'll work or not. Obviously it's not big enough to take more than 2, but we'll see how that goes. And I'll get a label to mark those up now. Well, there we have it, all labelled up. One spread tub, compost, a couple of onions inside. You can do anything you want. You can do some lettuce in there, you can do cress in there, you can do radishes in there. The list is endless. You can even grow some nice little flowers in there for your windowsill if you so want to tidy your house up. But that will fit nicely on your windowsill, no problems. Well, I thought I'd just show you the raised bed I showed you a few weeks ago. I've now got it filled with some compost and some soil clippings right to the very top, and I'm going to start putting these pots over the top of it to use during this summer for growing fruit and veg in pots, whilst the ground underneath sorts itself out. I'll probably put a weed suppressing membrane over the top of that as well. Well, I've got one more little job to do here in the front garden, and just down here where the railings are, I've got some self-seeded sort of little shrublets that I've collected out of the garden, and I'm going to plant those in to start making a screen of this black railing here. whilst I've been here, I've also put in the wildflower seeds, and hopefully they're going to give us a lovely display of colour and also help our pollinators this year. Well, now the next job on my list is to install the water feature in the garden, and that's going to involve siting it, digging the hole, levelling it, putting in a weed suppressing membrane, installing the water feature, and then decorating around the edge and probably putting a couple of the plants in as well. Now that's probably going to take me about an hour, so let's see if I can speed that up and do it in about 2 minutes. There we have our little water feature. There will be a little metal screen going across the bottom bowl and taking some more pebbles on top of that to disguise it. Generally I'm very pleased with that. All I've got to do now is take the pump out, disconnect it, and wrap up the terracotta for the next few weeks. Well, I've been putting some mulch on the decorative borders, and you may notice that some of it is rough and some of it is smooth. So I have my normal bark. Normally this whole area is covered in a bark mulch, but I've put a compost mulch down on this section here because I've decided I'm going to put some salad and some vegetables in between the bedding plants, because it's going to help feed me. It gives me a little bit more area that I can actually grow some food in, and this will then become the decorative area of the garden. And here I'll be putting the seeds and the plants like the Heliopsis and the Rebeckias in to give me some nice summer colour, and hopefully that will do nicely. So all you need to do is just replace some of your summer bedding maybe with some salad crops. I'm going to put in some beetroot for a bit of colour, maybe some lettuce, some cabbages. Oh, lots of things can go in there. Well, that brings me to the end of episode 11 in my journey through 1 year in my garden. And it's not an easy time, as I said earlier, but I'm doing a lot in the garden. I don't think I'm going to be able to go and buy any bedding plants this year, so it's just going to be the stuff that I've grown, and so therefore my bedding is going to be a little bit more
salad crop and vegetables than it normally is, but I'm sure it's going to look fantastic, and I'm sure that you're going to do your part as well. Now, I think your name is Alicia from Brighton. Thank you very much for your lovely comments, and yes, I'm feeling a lot better now, and I can't wait to get back to work. And yeah, it's been a bit of a rough time, but we're all going to go through it, and hopefully the country is going to come through this really, really well. Let's just be supporting our frontline services, our health service, who are doing an amazing job, and God bless them all. Now, we've done a lot over the course of this week, mainly because I've been in self-isolation and I've not been able to work, so I've got more work done in the front garden, in the utility garden, down in the vegetable garden, in the flower garden, loads and loads of things done. And I must say I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it, and I hope sharing it with you has been a joy for yourselves as well. Now, one thing that I've not been able to do, which I normally do, is to close off with a bottle of wine. I normally go and buy a bottle of wine to close off with, but I'm afraid I've not been able to go to the shops and get one. So I went through what stock I did have in the summer house, and to say goodbye to you this time, I'll have a glass of cider. So cheers, your good health, stay safe, stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives. Cheers.